Live broadcast. Crime and social justice. Let's sit up. Some good posture. All right. I want to make it do something else. I'm going to see if I can put it somewhere. Crime and Social Justice. Edited by Tony Platt and Paul Takangi. Crime and Social Justice. I hear the book right here. Crime and Social Justice proceeded collectively in Berkeley. It is most important radical criminology journal currently available since this Berkeley is the most important radical criminology journal currently available since its inception in 1974. The journal has provided a form of discussion and development of Marcus criminology, unlike any other academic journal in the area. It has presented a wide range of theoretical, empirical, and review work together with accounts and struggles around specific issues in crime and social justice, including violence against women, imprisonment, and the gay and black movement. In so doing, it has contributed enormously to the incorporation of the study of crime, law, and the criminal justice system with Marcus theory. This book presents a collective of some of the best articles from the first 10 issues of the journal. The book includes important discussions and imprisonment as well as widely acclaimed contributions on criminology theorizing. The authors are or have been members of the editorial collective of crime and social justice and have taught criminology at the University of California, Berkeley. Like the journal, the book offers a series of insights and challenges not only to those working in criminology, but to anyone active in a major struggle, in the major struggles around law, crime, and the state. It presents a clear and coherent response to those who question the need and visibility, viability of the radical criminology. That was the index. That's kind of cool. I like it so far. Crime and Social Justice. Barnes and Noble books. Barnes and Noble. You know what I'm saying? Let's do this right here. I'm gonna try something. Cause I do got my contacts in and this is a premiere. This is the first time. You know what I'm saying? So I wanna look good doing it. You know what I mean? Now I can see good. I can see well. Crime and Social Justice Associates, 1981. All rights reserved. No part of this publication may be reproduced or transmitted in any form or by any means without permission. First published in the USA, 1981 by Barnes and Noble, 81 Adams Drive, Tohoa, New Jersey. Printed in Hong Kong. All right, Part 1, Criminology and the Definitions of Crime. Street Crime, A View from the Left, Tony Platt. Number 2 is Intellectuals. And how you say the word? Intellectual of Law and Order. A critique of New York realists. So number 3, social and the definition of crime. Herman, that's just his name. I should try to read it. Herman Skatzadinger and Julie Skatzadinger. I guess they lawyers. Part 2, crime. Karl Marx, the thief of wood and working class. Compensation. Number 5, delinquency and the collective varieties of youth. Varieties of youth. Any woman's blues. A critical overview of women crime and the criminal justice system. That's kind of cool. Also, there's only 8 parts, and number 7 is, part 3 parts, 8 chapters. Part 3, the state and crime justice and criminal justice. The penal question in capital. The Garson state and democratic society. Part 8. All right. Prefix. Let's go for the prefix now. A journal, crime and social justice, has been a major focus of debate for both Americans and European scholars. At a time when a majority of official criminology journals are largely left unread by students of criminology, this radical magazine is notable for its punchy, panchy, I'm trying to say the word, and relevance. Now I'm gonna just skip the word. When I don't know a word, I'm gonna just skip over it. That's what I was taught. I'm saying I could always find what it means anyway, but I'm gonna definitely try to sound it out before I get there. And relevance. Panchy, P-A-N-A-C-H-E, pan-a-chi, and relevance. There is scarcely a significant debate in the recent period to which crime and social justice has not offered a substantial contribution, if not indeed initiated, but it has been difficult to obtain. So this reader is being published simultaneously in North America and Britain. That was the prefix. That's kind of cool. I'm working on speech and pronunciation. I'm working on speech timing, motor skills. I'm doing all that right now. That's the only reason I'm doing this. Other than that, so this is things I gotta work on by myself. It's just I'm doing it on a live feed with sunglasses for the first time. Graduation class, he can't see. You know what I'm saying? But anyway. Now, introduction is kind of cool. I'm enjoying introduction, and I'm working on being able to stand in front of people and talk, and and explain clearly and assertively and directively. And it's just cool as hell. I'm sorry for cursing. It was like, you don't want that on your website. But anyway, it was kind of cool. Now I'm gonna read the introduction. Several students and 2 faculty members of Berkeley schools of criminology were responsible for publishing the 1974, the first issue of Crime and Social Justice, CSJ, a radical journal for the people's criminology. The format for the earliest issue included articles by academic criminology, reports on popular struggles for justice, courses on outlines, not onlines, outlines. The format for the earliest issues included articles by academic criminologists reports on popular struggles for justice course outlines and review essays of books. The political roots of CSJ, criminal and social justice, are to be found generally in the experience of the New Left, especially the student anti-war and women's movement, particularly in the academic and state repression of progressive student and intellectuals, intellectuals at Berkeley and others universities. Out of the school, I'm gonna read it again because it was kind of cool. I enjoyed it, but I'm working on a skill, and it's kind of cool. Introduction. Several students and two faculty members of Berkeley schools of criminology were responsible for publishing in 1974 the first issue of Criminal and Social Justice, CSJ, a radical journal for the people, criminology. The format for the earliest issue included articles by academic criminologists, reports on popular struggles for justice courses outlines, and reviews, essays, and books. The particular roots of CSJ are to be found generally in the experience of the New Left, particular in the academic and state repression of progression, students and intellectuals at Berkeley and other universities. Now I'm going to continue. Now I'm saying you got to put your 2 cents in between every statement or punctuation. It's kind of cool. You know what I'm saying? Give a little bit more detail, a little bit more format. It's great. It's a great idea. But anyway, out of the school of criminology came radical activists and theorists who participated in local anti-repression organizations, supported the prisoners movement, turned the classroom into a place of debate and controversy and unusual occurrences, and challenged the hegemony of Borgias, or is it Borgias, I'm trying to say the word, Borgias, criminology, given the long history of systematic repression and exclusion of Marxism and critical thought in North America universities. This is a name, Schizwendinger, 1974. It is not surprising that a price had to be paid for this rebellious insubordination. By the time of the first issue of CSJ was published, Herman, the name Schizwendinger, and Tony Platt had been denied tenure. I know that word is tenure, and the demise of the School of Criminology was intimate. Many progressive individuals have experienced academic, I'm going to say another word, repression in the United States, but this was the first time the criminology program was totally dismantled because a majority of its faculty and a majority of its students tested the barbarous doctrine of freedom of speech after a protracted 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 after a protracted after a traced after a protracted struggle led by thousands of students in which thousands of individuals were public polite. I'm stuck now. Now I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna skip over a word because I'm having I see something else. Sized, polite side, politicized. This is the criminal stuff. So they're using words with ism and and sized, and that's gonna be on a lot of the words. So and many people's community commitments were strengthened. The School of Criminology was closed in 1976. A detailed account of this experience has been chronicled, and then they used to we would probably use chronicalized. This is chronicled. I'm gonna spell it for you because it's I chose the book as words I never used before, so pronunciation is great so far. Chronicled and summoned, some chronicled and summed up elsewhere. All right, there's a few names. There was personally casualties as a result of our radical praxis. Several students were harassed and intimidated by Berkeley's administration, and some had difficulty finding jobs. Herman Skitzwanger was unable to get an academic job until his appointment in 1977. So from 1974 until 1977, Herman wasn't able to get a job. And they said some other students was harassed during the period of these publishing of these articles and were able to get a few jobs too. All right, now there was, all right, in 1970 at the State University of New York, New Paltz campus, Tony Platt could not get a job in the criminology program, and Paul Takia, who could not be fired because he had tenure, was academically ostracized on the Berkeley campus for over a year. Ostracized is tormented, and just went through hell at a law campus. It's kind of cool. So I'm ostracized on the Berkeley campus for over a year. But overall, the repression did not break us. Rather, it confirmed our experience and analysis, as well as solidified our political commitment. In 1976, we wrote, "While we suffered a setback in Berkeley, we definitely scored a number of important victories, and for the first time, are building a progressive alternative to what is perhaps the most reactionary, reactionary, what is perhaps the most reactionary field in the social science. It is important that we learn from our struggles at Berkeley and use that experience to deepen our political consequence, consciousness and tactical capacity. CSJ Collective, 1976. Yeah, it's another paragraph that's kind of cool. I'm enjoying it. I enjoy what I read so far. So they got ostracized, they got put down, they got let down on campus for 4 years, but they found a way to climb by publishing a book. So that's kind of cool. I enjoy that much so far. Since 1976, the consistency, continuity, constituents, the constituents of CSJ was grown to over 2,000, primarily intellectual students and liberals, but also community organizations and prisoners, despite a resurgence in the recent years of a decidedly rightward movement among intellectuals. Our experience at professional conference at professional conferences indicates a great also at our professional conferences indicates. So conferring and indicates that it's like they use the same word back to back. It's like sometimes you can pronounce something out or say it and it give a lot of meaning. It sound as if it gives meaning to the next word, and that was kind of cool. I enjoyed that. That was a great one. At professional conferences indicates a great deal of interest in Marxism among student and younger faculty and state functionaries, as Harman, there's a long word again, it's like 15 words, Windinger noted in the editorial to the first issue of CSJ. So all this criticism they took on, their first book gained a lot of response, and their letdown was because of the book, their response. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. I enjoy that. For 3/4 of the century, political repression has successfully restricted the most highly developed radical perspective, Marxism, in virtually every discipline and professional school. One can hardly expect the scope of academic criminology to have been any less restrictive, considering its direct organic connection with the most corrective, correct, corrective, correct, no, coercive, cohesive, coercive, 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 the most coercive political institutions in our society. Indeed, in light of these connections, it is remarkably that the recent emergence emergency of the radical criminology has occurred at all. I'm gonna read it again because I broke it up a few times. I was learning. So, for 3/4 of the century, political repression has successfully restricted the most highly developed radical perspective Marxism in virtually every discipline and professional school. One can hardly expect the scope of academic criminology to have been any less restrictive considering its directive organic connections with the most cohesive coercive political institutions in our society. Indeed, in light of these connections, it is remarkable that the recent emergency and emergency of the radical criminology has occurred at all. All right, just now that was kind of cool. I enjoyed that a lot. That was great. I was like, I'm right there. Now here's another part. I just feel I wanted to do something good. I wanted to read. You like reading? I like reading. You like reading? You like reading? It's all my fault. I didn't read enough. I could have learned so much more. Yo, that's crazy. He was a good one though. Know what I'm saying? Now remember. These kind of people. Look where the book at. Off the table in your face. Know what I'm saying? I like it. Know what I'm saying? I like these. I think I can keep the book back a little bit. You ain't gonna be able to see little words in a little while. Yo, I think it's crazy. For real, it's bugged out. But anyway, I'm gonna read some more. It's a great education experience. Just try it one day. They cheap. You crazy. Oh shit. All right. It is a testimony to the power of Marxism, that radical criminology is growing despite the loss of an important base at Berkeley. Many individuals who were first politicized in the academy continue to be politically active in their new jobs and workplace. Some of who, some of us who were active at Berkeley created a independent center for research on criminal justice. Um, Publisher of the Iron Fist and the Velvet Glove. Later to be later to become the center of the study of criminal crime and social justice, a component of the Institute for the Study of Labor and Academic Crisis in San Francisco. In this book, we have selected a limited number of articles which have appeared in CSJ between 1974 and 1978. Immediately, they reflected, in our judgment, the most mature theoretical materials that have appeared in the journal. They are by no means limited to the Berkeley School. They are not representatives of CSJ in general, and they do not in any way discuss the practice of radical criminologists in the United States. A thorough, although no, no, critique, critique, rough, thorough, a thorough A thorough critique. I didn't even know what was critique. I skipped over that one back there. A thorough critique of the Berkeley School. No, that's critique. I gotta figure out what CRITIQE critique. Critique. It's like boutique. It's like criteria. It's the. I think that's what it probably. Critique is short for criteria, so let's use criteria in that statement. Let's find it. I lost it. Oh, a thorough criteria of the Berkeley School and a political evaluation of academic collectives remains an urgent task, though the modest self-criticism has been attempted in the journal. Cynthius, Platt, 1977. And by saying what's the name, it gave all those words, and that was kind of cool. So I'm gonna look for it again. A thorough critique, and I said, what did I say? Criteria, and then it said collectives was also in the paragraph. So I enjoyed that a lot too. I enjoyed it. Where, all right, we limit ourselves in the introduction of providing some background and textual comments to the selection in this anthology. I never even seen it before. An anthology. For a deeper understanding, we suggest that you consult the journal in its entirety. See the back of the volume for information about subscriptions. Perhaps the most important development in radical criminology in the United States was publication of Herman and Julia, Defenders of Order, of Guardians of Human Rights, in issues in criminology in 1970. When the Dingers reopened the debate on the definition of crime in its article, it was either misunderstood or deliberately misunderstood, misinterpreted by some criminologists. For example, Gilbert G., past president of the American Society of Criminology, viewed it as a indication of moralism, a tendency of critical criminologists to create their own categories of crime, 1978. To develop a scientific definition of crime is a complex and difficult enterprise. It has a long history among Western criminologists going back even further than 30 years. Controversy initiated by Thorsten Selin in 1938. So that'll be a nice thing to look up. Thorsten, and I guess it's Thorsten Selin, Sellin. That would be fun. And that's in 1938. And his findings, we're going to read it again up to that point and see what he brought to criminology. To develop a scientific definition for crime. So I guess this person, that was the first character. So I guess in 1938, he gave a definition and found findings of not understanding and misinterpreted. So that's cool. So I had to go back to the previous paragraph and suggest this entire page was based on something Thorsten Selin did in 1938. So that's kind of cool. To develop a scientific definition, a crime is complex and difficult enterprise. A, a, of definition of crime is complex and difficult enterprise. A complex and difficult enterprise. It has a long history among Western criminologists, going back even further than the 30-year controversy initiated by Thorsten Selin in 1938. In an early monograph published in 1937, Selin reviewed the literature on the relationship between economic conditions and crime and recommended the construction of a more sensitive crime index as a alternative to measure which relied on official police statistics. As Selin noted, this was not a new proposal in 1895. Trade of called trade. No, that's not trade. Tarday. Turid had called for the study of unpunished crimes in 1910. TARDE, I'm not really sure. I'm going to look order, so that's a D. TARDE. I get my B's and D's mixed up too still, you know. Oh, you get your B, that's a B. No, that D goes there. Yo, I think it's really, oh, it's fun. Can we joke around a little bit? Yeah, remember that guy we used to talk about in school? You crazy. Yeah, this is a nice book. I'm probably gonna read another day and take an intermission. Take an intermission. You can't take intermissions in school. What you talking about? Just leaving. All right, 1910. Henry Jolly. Dude name is Henry Jolly. Henry Jolly had noted that it would be a grave error to assume that convictions accurately reflect the scope of criminology, and in 1920, J.S. Rooks had argued the necessity of studying what he called masked criminality. That's a new word. Criminality. So that's, and we transitioning from words starting from 18 date from the timeline 1800s to the 1920s. So in the between the 1800s and the 1920s, criminality was the name of our criminology. That's kind of cool. I'm enjoying it right now, and I think I did a little too much. So I think I covered everything. See Selin 1937, part 72, page 72. Selin did not construct an index until much later, but back in the 1930s, he apparently thought that it was futile to use criminal statistics for index and scientific purposes, and consequently wrote his controversial 1938 monograph, which rooted the explanation of crime in conduct norms, selling 1938. So all these arguments would come up if something came up similar to these suggestions. If a criminal was to state, give the definition for crime, or um, um, yeah, I guess give the definition for crime. Am I under the crime definition guidelines? It's kind of cool. It's an easy one to do. They would be read all these things. Now another thing, this is something that get mailed. You won't see it actually. It's kind of fun. What Herman and Julius Skitzwinger had added to this debate is an alternative, scientific and moral definition of crime, a Marxist alternative based on the proletarian class outlook and social class and the definition of crime. They sum up their previous article and further elaborate on their socialist definition of crime. It is a timely piece as liberation struggles unfold all over the world, and it's clear that people my legs started itching and got scary. As liberation struggles unfold over the world, it is clear that people's movements cannot rely upon ubiquitous, legitimately, and define national independence and social construction. Now I'm gonna bring a character to life. All right. Tony Platt's Street Crime: A View from the Left, 1978. It is based in part on an editorial first published in CSJ in 1976. Both pieces represented a long overdue Marxist analysis of the high rate of criminal victimization within the U.S. metropolis. Prior to these essays, there was tremendous tendency among radical criminologists to either romanticize street crime as a form of primitive rebellion, or to engage in one form or another of liberal apologetics. Defense of the prisoners movement led many of us to celebrate the collective defiance of many Yo, what's going on? I'll be here. Yeah. Alright, I want to get in the character. I'm trying to find a little bit more character. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be serious about it. You know what I'm saying? You want to see my face, baby? I'm gonna read. You be reading, kid? Your word? You be reading? I want to read. How you read? Nah, man, I don't want to play. I don't want to read nothing. You have to. I don't want to. What's that word? I'm embarrassed to ask anybody what word it is. Sound it out. How do you sound it out? Use one letter at a time. Can you imagine telling somebody, you look, I'm gonna do grave and GRAVE. Grave. Actually, it kind of sounded like it too. That was kind of cool. I never even experienced that before. That's interesting. I enjoyed it too much. I'm enjoying dandelions in the moonshine. Dandelions and moonshine. It's a damn shame. Reading a law book. Dandelions and moonshine. It's just too much. You're just too much, kid. Kid, you're on your way to the top. Yo. I'm gonna just start anywhere. I don't want to start anywhere because I probably got a review. I ain't got no views or nothing. That crazy. He just be posting. He be up there for hours. Yo, this class is funny as hell. It's too much, too much, too much radicalism. Can you? Was anybody make a song with law words? That's interesting. All right. Now we're gonna skip the delinquents. I found a lot of humor in reading about delinquents. Delinquency, and the collective and the collective varieties of youth provided the necessary historical background for understanding contemporary criminality. Also, criminality. That's kind of cool. Humiliation. I'm humiliated. Gross. That's gross. He reading. Why he reading? That's gross. That's just gross, man. Well, that was fun. I just, I enjoyed it. I got 2 books. That was cool. I just thought I'd get a book, read a little bit of something. I'm gonna stay on, Getting Harium is coming back out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, me and my whip long, baby. You know what I'm saying? Just me and my whip long. What if it was like, you know what I'm saying, the song, the Yellowstone Park song? You know what I'm saying? Me and my... Somebody came fast. Came out of the woodworks, nigga. Yeah. There you go. Huh? know, unless something happened somewhere else. Something just, I don't know, something happened somewhere else?
I picked out there, I think the fuck. The lights and shit, I don't know. What the fuck is that? Yeah, smoking KY.
You was over there? You went over there?
Nah, I see did that shit.
Oh. You know me? I know you. I know you. I'm trying to find something else to do. You know what I'm saying? I could tell you, I could read something. I just want to do some educational stuff. So it's about December. Oh, 2016. Fire. May. April. It's March. The 17th is a beautiful day. St. Patrick's Day. Just wondering, it's going to be a wonderful occasion. You know, for those people that's viewing, corned beef hash and some cabbage. You know, potatoes. We're going to enjoy it. Oh, we hope you do too. Please stop by. We don't mind. You're always welcome. On the 13th, we have daylight savings time. On the 13th, we have daylight savings time. I will please advise you to please set your clocks back. Please set your clocks back at 7:30 if it didn't occur already. Orthodox Lent begins. Orthodox Lent begins on the 14th of March. That's something very interesting to involve myself in. Usually it's on occasion. On this occasion, there's usually a walk to the corner store, around the corner, up the street and back. You know, working a little exercise. Never hurt. But on the 20th, Palm Sunday, spring begins, and we'll welcome another one with open arms. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being a part of our life. You know what I'm saying? Always glad to have you. You know, on the 25th, Good Friday, it's always to be good on Friday, and it could carry over until Sunday. It might extend until Monday, but it's always good to be good on Good Friday. You know what I'm saying? Where you could wear your holiday colors and attire. You know, that's kind of cool. Easter is on the 27th. A lot of you young men and women got a question of why isn't Easter in April? Well, there's 6 months with 31 days, and February had 29 days this month. That's why it occurred. It doesn't occur often. Easter in March. You know, this is one of the first that I had an acquaintance. You know, I spent a lot of, I got to take the time to experience. Some young man asked me when is the holiday. I assumed it was in April. So he asked me for another destination on the calendar. So I happened to notice when I looked at the calendar, March of the month of March, Easter is now in March. It doesn't happen too often, but on occasion it does. Doesn't much won't change. And another thing about Easter being in March this year, there was a little winter. You know what I'm saying? Global warming and global climate conditions are causing difficulties in different communities and states. You know, so along with leap year, you know, it's just something that happens and goes every 4 years. You know what I'm saying? Until April's gonna walk back. Now think about it. If it's in March on the 25th, think about how many years. Now, if to be in April again, I'm gonna tell you something. To be in April again is gonna take more than 4 years. Leap year is more than 4 years. Now I'm gonna show you something. Easter Actually, it is 4 years. Actually, because it usually happened on a Sunday. So this is how many years it's gonna take for Easter to be in April. When we get Easter on Easter Sunday, the second of East, the second day of April, it will be. Now, if it's not on the second day, so I'm gonna tell you the next time Easter is gonna be in April. If Easter Monday is on the 27th, Easter is on the 27th. Now, the 28th is 1 year. The 29th is 2 years. The 30th is 3 years. The 31st is 4 years. Then we have April Friday. And it might not end up that way, but this is, I'm looking at the calendar, I'm using the squares that we have, and I'm assuming 4 years and 2 days. So um, it's kind of cool. Some months got 31 days. Some years, certain months got 31 days. It was a big task. It was something difficult to get over. I couldn't take it, you know what I'm saying? So I committed myself to learning these ideas and these facts about our overall calendar year. And it was kind of cool, so I enjoyed it. But it was the greatest thing ever. It was the greatest love of all. And we'll be right back after these special mark. I might write something, so I don't know. I like writing too. Hopefully you check what I'll be writing. But anyway, though, so I'm gonna end it with, something political. You know what I'm saying? My last my last notable contribution will be do away with tracking devices. Make Google accounts available for everybody. Make them mandatory. See, if you get a Google account, everybody profile will be on their website. Some people is not. Some communities not gonna want to stay behind. Some communities gonna want to stay behind. Some communities gonna want to prosper and move forward. As the Pope said, you heard the Pope in his inauguration speech. Some of them, some of us will stay in one place. Some of us will work towards moving forward. So there's also communities that takes part in that statement, not just the individual. And there's also individuals, so it's kind of cool. So I enjoyed that too. But I told one yesterday night, so I was cool and I was bugged out. Where I enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying? So take that into consideration. You know what I'm saying? My lawmakers, you know, Google. I mean, a Google account. You know what I'm saying? They had a profile. They had to be able to post pictures. You know what I'm saying? No more CDs. And now think about it. If a community moved faster than the music industry, they would be on, you know what I'm saying, cellular networks already. But I'm gonna end this note again. Thank you. Good night. I was happy to have you. Um, I'm enjoying it. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm chunky. You think I'm chunky? Or got big though. Let's do the right. That's the picture I want. Because when I do the what's the name? When I do the I don't look like a handsome guy. You know, handsome guy. Handsome guy. We're gonna go out with a duet. I would like to thank my band. I would like to thank my staff. I would like to, thank Kellogg's for real. It's Rice Krispies, Ben and Jerry's. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna have a good one. Take it away, Bob.